we lost one tanker, got torpedoed, and that thing, torpedo hit it in the bow, and that tank, the bow went down like that, and the rear end of the tanker was sticking up in the air. Didn't want to sink. So they didn't want to leave it floating like that, so they sent one DE back there to sink it. And the biggest guns we had on the DEs at that time were 3-inch 50s. And the ship went out there, they're shooting 3-inch 50s at the tank, and they're bouncing off. The shells are bouncing off. Wouldn't sink it.
The last trip I made, I'm coming out of the hatch of the boiler room, and I looked over and I seen a big round puff of smoke coming out. And the next thing I see the fantail going up in the air and coming back down. Here was the Darnell was hit. 42 men was in the fantail and they lost their life. And I have to tell you about the reefs. The reefs was up front and they got relieved by the Darnell, and nobody knew that there was a submarine within the area. And the submarine went up and followed the Darnell. That was my 4th trip on the Charles Lawrence.
We ran into a lieutenant commander with the medical insignia around his collar. And he was off an AKA, which was a transport ship, bringing supplies in. And believe it or not, this gentleman was selling whiskey by the case for $175. Medical whiskey. Well, before long, every sailor on the beach knew he had a Jeep or one of those weapons carriers. He must have been the bootlegger from the Al Capone era. Two pals and I, we got the money together and $165 and bought a case of Calverts. And we brought it back to the LST. In fact, we got a ride back. And a case of whiskey is kind of hard to carry, especially when you're slopping around in the water, half smushed anyway. But when we got back to the ship, by that time the tide had come in and there was quite a large puddle of salt water, large one. And the skipper himself was standing the OD watch. He was a very generous type officer. We loved him. And he's sitting on an ammunition case with his 45. And he's shooting beer cans floating around in the puddle. Okay? Good eye, he could pick them up. And he says, "Hey guys, what do you got there?" So we told him, "Well, we don't know if you know this, but we got something here we'd like to hang on to." And there's a big sign on the Calverts. He said, "Wait a minute." He sloshed through the puddle, took the case, brought it back on the LST, put it on the tank deck, and says, "We'll be here when you come back, guys." Now, this was in great violation of Navy rules. And we weren't the only 3 that brought whiskey back to this ship, and all of the LSTs were on the beach doing the same. Every night when we come off watch, before we go to bed, we'd have a nice shot of Calverts, hit the rack and sleep for 4 or 5 hours, get it again. And nobody ever really got smashed on that stuff, but it was available. Everybody's locker had a little whiskey